June 11th at 12:30 Eastern. Alien Week looks like it just went live a couple minutes ago. I just went on the RSI website, and this is now not the pre-sale. This is the full sale. So this is for everyone. So this was the pre-sale link. They might have updated it to everybody, so you can say it's 1 day ago. And then this is the new one, Out of This World offerings. So they had the link to the Railen, a direct link here. If you haven't seen my other video about the Railen, please check that out. It'll be in the card on right above your links right now if you're on a PC or certain mobile or tablets. And then I'll also put it at the end of this video. But just real fast, it's a 320 SCU vessel. There is 4 beds, 3 here, and then 1 across the way for the captain. Thank you for the viewers who pointed that out. It has 2 size 4 guns on 2 manual ball turrets, one on the left side of the ship, one on the right. Has pretty good defenses. It's not perfect. It would be nice if it had a rear-facing turret, but it's not bad at all. For a cargo vessel with modular cargo on the outside of the vessel with a tractor beam and a docking collar, this is a pretty solid little ship with 50-something meters long. And I wouldn't be too worried about the crew of 4. I would think 2 or 3 crew would be best. These are bespoke missile launchers with traditional missiles of size 1 and size 2 as far as we know. Like I said, I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just mainly going after what the options are today, and if you want to consider these strategically for yourself. This logo here is the Chairman's Club, so that's code for concierge. I believe the paint job is the part that's concierge only. So you can see right here, there's a war bond for $200 that includes that paint. If you have concierge unlocked, which is just spend enough and you have it. The Railen war bond, traditional, without the Hyotun paint. So the Gatak Railen. Here's the war bond for $200. And then there's also a not war bond model. This is the one you can purchase with store credit for $225. These are the exact same prices as yesterday, where war bond was $200 and $225 was the Railen with credit. So you did not miss out if you were not in concierge. You can see the concierge members can still buy the paint on its own, which is a great option if you don't want to purchase the ship right. And the ship offers a lot for the money. At the $200 price point, I think it's competitive. At the $225, it's a little much, but do remember you can CCU to it. I mentioned before these pins. It's a nice to see a new set. Includes the new Railen if you like this ship, and the Defender, one of my favorites. And I think that's a really cool set of pins for the Alien Week. Then there's the Alien Complete Packs. The War Bond is $2,250, and that's a concierge pack. And then you also have the $2,500 concierge pack, Alien Complete Pack. These were for sale yesterday, as was the pin. I'll show you. Either set has the same thing. They both have LTI. One you can use store credit for, the non-war bond model. And it includes the Railen, the Talon Shrike, the Prowler, the Defender, the Nox Q, which these are space motorcycles, the Defender being a heavier fighter that has 2 seats and bed, and technically 2 different cockpits, actually. It's kind of an interesting ship. Has a really beautiful warp animation. The Prowler, that is a stealth dropship with air shields. Talons and the Talon Shrike, which are strike platforms. The missile systems on board are pretty damn cool. They, of course, the Railen, the cargo vessel. The Carthu Owl, which is a very simple ship. It's smaller. I think the picture on here, just to give you some perspective of some of these more unique ships. The Vandal Glaive and the Blade. So these are more advanced ships. The Blade being the lighter of the 2 Vandal replica fighters that would be in this package. The Apoa Santuk Yai, which is a pretty cool transforming type ship. And of course, the infamous or the awesome, depending on who you ask, the Banu Merchantman. The technically medium-sized shop ship that is a pocket capital that is only outclassed by the Kraken privateer, sacrificing a lot of its cargo bay for trade capabilities, negotiation rooms, and a lot of really interesting services. And will be a really neat, sort of on the edge of capital, maybe capital, depending on who you ask, all with LTI. Both packages are here. They're very expensive, but it's up to you to make that decision. As I said yesterday, if you're somebody who's missed out on a lot of the opportunities in the past to pick up alien ships, and you're kind of just trying to see if you have a lot of spending money and you're interested in trying different things, it's there if you want to consider it. I think it's a little pricey to say the least, because it's just, there's always this thing called an alien tax that a lot of creators talk about. It's very, very real. Now, if we go back into the main site one more time, let's just see what else they have on offer. So this looks like a lot of the same stuff. When you hit the Discover the Railen, you have access to all these items. I noticed there's not a separate paint for the non-concierge members, which is kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have a separate paint. If they were going to make an exclusive paint job for the concierge members, they should have had one for at least the War Bond member, a non-concierge War Bond purchases, but that was their decision. And down here, we actually have a few different things. Wow, okay. So they're basically, Alien Week's going to be all sorts of different things for this setup. Let's take a look at this. So this is a Talon Shrike with an entire set of the Avis armor that is very influenced, you know, by their culture. Only 6 months insurance. Does contain a unique paint job, but only 6 months insurance, and it's War Bond for that price without only 6 months. Interesting. Here is the, hang on a minute. Because this is live, it's a little harder for me to kind of filter through this. So there's two Talons in here. Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. So there's two Talons, both the Talon and the Talon Shrike, both different models built in here with a set of armor, the Avis armor, which is, I believe, the one that came when they first launched that project. But they're here. You can also get the Talon or the Talon Shrike for $115. Same deal with the 6 months insurance, which I'm a little surprised by, or the paint by itself, which is a beautiful paint job, I gotta say. I would suspect this is able to be used on either of the Talons, but might need to check on that. Based on the fact there's not two different paints. Sometimes they'll have variants that need different paints or something like that, but lately they've been doing paints where it's different. And you can also buy the armor on its own, so you don't have to feel obligated to buy the $240 set just to get your armor set. So you have the Talon armor and helmet, Talon armor and helmet set, Avis Talon armor and Avis Talon Shrike armor and helmet set. Interesting. So that's the Shrike armor. They're both the same price. And this is all in USD. Just bear that in mind. Okay, so you have the Shrike armor and the regular armor in that larger package. So that package is looking okay. I mean, it has the paints, it has the two different Talons, and it has the armor set. That's a nice little combination. And it looks like they have a specialty War Bond on offer for the Talon as well. They seem to be pushing the Talon and the Talon Shrike pretty heavily. So let's take a look in the ship upgrades. So they have a War Bond edition. And like it's pointing out, you can't buy that with store credit. It's at $115, which I find kind of interesting. Usually War Bond CCUs and limited time specialty offers, they'll say something like you can get it for a lower price because you went that method. As you can see, if I'm coming from an ROC that's $55, the standard edition is $60, whereas the War Bond edition is $50. So the value it's giving you is a $10 reduction in price for the Talon. So for those of you who are doing chain CCUing, it looks like there's a few different War Bond options in the ship upgrades. I have a suspicion that a lot of these, when I go to the next section, will be the same way. I'm not going to do the Shrike. We saw that just in the upgrade, by the way, that this is the 50 and 60. It's the same exact pricing schedule. So the War Bond is $10 less. It's $115 versus the $125 of the non-War Bond, the credit version. So let's take a look in here. We have a Nox, which is basically a floating motorcycle that kind of folds up nicely. It's a beautiful looking ship. motorcycle, but and it's good utility for a larger vessel to kind of park that in the corner of the cargo hold, and you can kind of grab that and get around a lot. Use it for all sorts of things. In the future salvage operations or moving between ships, this would be very handy, to say the least. But it is kind of high because it's got the alien capacity, and it's a beautiful looking vessel. It has a bit more defense than the Dragonfly, by the way. This rear area and this frontal area gives you a little bit of shielding from small arms fire, just worth mentioning. So it feels a little more safe inside when your character is tucked up in the middle here. And this is the first ship on this list. It looks like the Carthual is available for 170. Looks like the Carthual is available for 170, and that is a standalone for 6 months. And here is a crowd favorite, the Banu Defender. It's a very expensive ship. I did see a limited in the ship upgrade, so we're going to go back to that in just a few minutes, but 220 right now for the 6 months. The Blade is available, which is usually only available at the annual sale, like one day or something like that. Or it's Alien Week, this specific Alien Week, and that's it. I'm not quite sure. But 275, that's interesting that it's even available on its own outside of that complete concierge pack, which is nice. Prowler is 440. It's a very expensive but very interesting, unique ship that is truly a fascinating ship. I do not think it's worth that price, but it is an incredible ship. I think its air dam system and its ability to have all the different crew come out, and the design is really neat. When this thing lands, it has these spokes that come out the sides to give the troops who come out the side cover, so they can have a place to return fire and kind of build themselves a sense of perimeter around the ship. It's also extremely stealthy. It has high-tech components inside, come from the factory that way. So here's a prompt for me to go back to the upgrade system. Whenever you see this upgrade now, it's going to put you back to the traditional CCU system. Here's the Santuk Yai again. It's $220 on its own for 6 months insurance. And the Banu Merchantman, it's up to $500. This is interesting. I can remember when the Banu Merchantman was, I don't know, $250, $275 when it was initially out. Man, has it grown. And I mean, here's an upgrade for the Banu Merchantman, limited time war bond upgrade. So this will probably bring it back down to a more reasonable price. We'll see how that looks in just a couple minutes. Whew. And then also Alien Week extras. So it looks like a new paint for the Defender. Week's extras section that has platinum paint for the Defender, which I really like the look of, honestly. Just even but looking at this little picture. Might rely on other folks to try it out first, be the guinea pig. But that's kind of interesting. I love anything for the Defender. Looks like Ocellus paint for the Prowler. That's pretty cool. I like the camouflage. The Prowler comes as like this dark black, kind of like a stealth fighter look. So I'm kind of curious to see how this will look. It might give it a little more of a lively look, but it's meant to be stealthy. So I guess we'll see if that's interesting. There's those pins we talked about before in the pre-sale and then in the higher up part of the sale today. And they're also available down in this section. And then those packs. So you have the Alien Complete Pack for Warbond $2,250. And the credit version for $2,500. And just to prove and confirm it, that the exact same pack, we looked at the Warbond earlier. This is the Railen, the Talon Shrike, the Prowler, Carthual, Defender, Nox Q, Vandal Glaive, Vandal Blade, Santuk Yai, and the Merchantman, all with LTI. And that's in the credit or the Warbond variants of that set. I don't know. Overall, a lot of things to unpack here. But where I really think this is going to excel is really things like the Railen at Warbond for that price, and the opportunity to get the Defender, the opportunity to get the Blade, to a lesser extent the Prowler. These are all three very, very, very useful ships in different ways. This is more of a specialty ship. This is more of a prestige vessel. And this is just a good all-arounder. And there is interplay between the Defender and the Merchantman. They will not say what it is, but as the concepts have been reconcepted on the Merchantman, it is stuck through and through that the Defender and the Merchantman have some type of link to them. There's been theories of sharing shielding from the merchantman over to the defender, or having an enhanced docking system where there's a specialty dock that's made for the defender, so it can be repaired, rearmed, and resupplied better through the merchantman. Whatever it is, we don't know yet. The defender, when it lands, interestingly, does this descent on its mechanisms, whereas it's flat and straight when it's open, and the weapons come out of the sides a little bit here and here. And then there's a ramp that comes, a set of steps that's almost like a ramp that come down very sharp here. It would not be impossible for there to be some type of curve bump on the back of this ship or something right here or on the back that the defender is designed to go up to and dock, a lot like the snub fighters on the Connie. But that is just speculation, so we'll see how that shakes out. So I promise that we'll go over to the upgrade section. So let's take any of these prompts. Remember, all these will take you to the same place. So what we can do is literally just close this, pick all ships. Okay, cool. So if I don't put something in here, we can look at the full price. I don't want to use something where you have to try to do the math, or we have to try to do the math and figure out what we're dealing with here. So actually, glad I did that. You can see that I was incorrect on the Talons, for example. Talon Shrike is a 115 standard, 105 war bond. Remember, these are in USD. Same deal with the traditional Talon, 115, 105 war bond. Nova is still available. War bond is 105, 120 for the standard. This is a little closer to not being as crazy. It's still very, very high. Notice there's a 120 month insurance on that war bond. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you're war bonding or regular credit from something else, so if we take a look at these, neither one of these mentions a special credit insurance. So if you have something that's LTI, even like a G12 rover or something very small, it keeps that LTI, the highest insurance, or a 10-year insurance. Let's say a small ship with 10-year insurance. Even if that's said, that Nova tank, for example, that had like the 120-month insurance, if you have LTI on something, that takes precedence. You will not lose the better insurance by doing your upgrade, ever, with CCUs. And another thing about CCUs is you do not have to apply them. You can pick one up and just sit on it. You can even get one for a ship you don't own to a ship. So if you want to try out the Defender, or you're thinking, hey, down the line I might want to try a Defender, you could pick one up right now. Like, you could get an upgrade from the Corsair for literally $5, or the Warbond version, which would mean you need to choose a different ship because you can't go downwards without CCUs. But the standard on the Defender is 220. The Warbond is 200. This is actually a pretty decent ship for that price. But there's one other option to think about when you're thinking about the Defender. We're almost there. We're almost there. Interestingly, the C2 Hercules, the M2 Hercules, and the A2 are all on this list still. And there is Warbond options for the M2 and the C2, shockingly. A significant drop in price, as you can see. Now, remember, they've raised the prices right before Invictus Jump Week. So that is something to remember. It's just basically they kept the price the same as long as you pick up the Warbond variant with the new money. But here they are. It's worth mentioning them. But this is the one I think everybody's coming to see. So this is actually pretty good. You have the Warbond version for $450. You have the traditional for $5. This one right here is actually really, really nice to pick up, say, for example, from something that recently went up in price, or, yeah, recently went up in price, let's say. So let's say you're in the middle of the CCU chain and you picked up one of those Areses. I know they were pretty popular recently. That's what you end up paying. Just shy of just over what a Defender would cost War Bond, you could pick up this ship. And the interesting thing about the Merchantman is its loaner includes the Defender. So you could pick this up, and if you apply the CCU, this ship will give you a Defender to roll around in. And that's actually something else interesting. Let's bring up the entire ship loaner matrix. I think I should have summarized that yesterday, but it is worth mentioning today. So on the RSI website, and I'll have a link to this in the description, you can see an up-to-date setup. And if you notice, always look for this. June 10th, this was updated. So literally yesterday, this was updated. So it was updated for the Railen, is really what was going on. So you can pause the video or you can grab the link. But the important one here is the Merchantman. It gets a Defender and a Hercules C2 to use. And that thing is only going to go up. When that's finally ready, which it will be a long time from now, it will go up even more in value. So that War Bond is actually not a bad option if you can swing it. And if you're getting it from CCUing from another ship, so it's not such a big hit. And you can enjoy rolling around in a C2, which is one of the best haulers, combined haulers and ground vehicle movers in the game, especially right on the eve of Player Outpost starting to be first tier of Player Outpost starting to be iterated very soon, and a Defender, which is one of the finest heavy fighters in the game and has a beautiful, beautiful warp animation, and it's a very nice ship. I think it's pretty well polished. It's not the best, but it's a well done ship, and it really hits hard. So there's a few others on this list that are worth mentioning. Sentok Yai has the Carthual as a replacement. That's not really anything too much, but heck, I mean, free is free. The Noxes get the Aurora MR. So remember, you have to apply the CCU to get these, though. But it is stuff to think about. And then you can also see that the A2, for example, is getting the Hercules M2. I mention that only because it's on the list still. You know, just because you have a sale for a specific thing does not mean that you have to go for that specific thing. You can always take advantage of any options that are available and just keep rolling with what's good to go for you and your considerations. Well, like I said, I'm going to put in the links here, the ship loaner matrix, and on the end card here is the video from yesterday that goes more in depth with the wonderful new ship that has come out as our medium size transport of cargo, the Railen. I hope this video helped you out a little bit and helped, you know, kind of see all the options if you're stuck at work or if you're stuck coming home, you know, until you can get on. But this is the actual sale. I'm glad that there was nothing held back. As you saw yesterday and you can watch today, you can see that the concierge only got a paint job and they could buy it slightly faster than you. The ship that's still in concept. That's worth mentioning. A lot of these ships, look carefully, are still in concept. In the case of the Railen, in the case of the Merchantman, they have very, very reasonable loaners. And I would say that they are interesting ships to take a hard look at. Once again, watched the video yesterday. I made a lot of comparisons of plenty of other options besides the Railen. It is not for everyone, but for the people it is, I think it's a great, great ship, and it won't treat you wrong. So it's been Distilled Red J. You have a good one. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this helped you out. Just a quick mention here that the loaners for the Railen is the Caterpillar and the Carthual.